I remember the exact moment I realized something was wrong, and it wasn't dramatic at first. It wasn't a scream or a fight or a slammed door. It was a quiet notification on my phone while I was standing in the checkout line at a grocery store, holding a basket with almond milk, strawberries, and a cheap bouquet of yellow flowers. I hadn't even decided who they were for yet. My bank app refreshed. Balance: $2,147.32. That number should have been closer to 6,000. I stared at it like it might blink and correct itself if I waited long enough. I refreshed again. Same number. My chest tightened in that slow, creeping way where your body knows something your brain hasn't caught up to yet. I stepped out of line, abandoned the basket near the gum rack, and walked outside into the parking lot. It was one of those early May afternoons, warm but not hot, the air smelling like asphalt and cut grass. People were loading groceries into trunks, laughing, living their lives, and my hands were shaking. I called my bank. While I waited on hold, I scrolled through my transaction history. That's when I saw it. 3 transfers: $1,200, $1,500, $900. All sent to an account I recognized instantly. My stepmom's. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I felt hollow, like someone had reached inside me and scooped something out cleanly. I hung up on the bank before they even answered and called my dad. He picked up on the third ring. "Hey, kiddo, what's up?" I swallowed. "Did you give Karen access to my account?" There was a pause. Not a confused pause, not a surprised one, a careful pause. "She mentioned you wouldn't mind helping out," he said slowly. "It's temporary." I laughed. It came out sharp and ugly. Helping out? She took almost $4,000. "Lower your voice," he said automatically. "She's been stressed. You know Mother's Day is coming up, medical bills, the house." "That was my money," I said. "My savings, from my job, from my bonus." "She's your mother too, in a way," he replied, and I swear something snapped inside me at those words. Karen had been in my life since I was 16. She married my dad less than a year after my real mom died. No long courtship, no slow blending of families, just her boxes in the hallway and her rules on the fridge. I didn't say anything else. I just hung up. That night, I lay on my bed staring at the ceiling fan as it clicked softly with each rotation. I kept replaying moments I'd brushed off before. Karen borrowing cash from my wallet when she drove my car. Karen asking questions about my salary, my bonuses, my savings goals. Karen joking at dinner, "Well, when you're single and child-free, it's easier to share, right?" I smiled. I'd always smiled. Mother's Day was in 4 days. On Thursday, Karen texted me. "Don't forget Sunday brunch at 11, dress nice, and no last-minute gifts this year." I stared at the message for a long time. By Friday morning, I had a plan. It wasn't revenge, exactly. It was something colder, something quieter. I withdrew the remaining money from my checking account and moved it into a brand new account at a different bank. I changed every password, every security question. I locked everything down so tight even I felt shut out. Then I went shopping. Not for something expensive, not for jewelry or spa vouchers or anything she'd actually want. I bought a box, a small, elegant gift box with a satin ribbon. Inside it, I placed a single envelope. And inside that envelope, I put printed copies of the bank transfers, highlighted, time-stamped, my name at the top, her account number at the bottom. I stared at it for a long time before sealing it. Sunday came too fast. Their house looked perfect, as always. Fresh flowers on the porch, soft music playing inside, the smell of roasted vegetables and garlic butter filling the air. Karen hugged me the second I walked in. "There's my girl," she said loudly for the benefit of my dad and her friends. Her nails pressed into my back as she hugged me. Perfect manicure. Paid for, I realized, with my money. Brunch was allowed. Mimosas clinked, people laughed. Karen held court at the table, telling stories about how hard motherhood was, how much she sacrificed. Finally, gifts. My dad handed her a necklace. Her friends gave her candles, scarves, framed photos. Then she turned to me, smiling expectantly. "And what did you get me?" I stood up. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat, but my voice came out calm. "I got you something personal," I said. I handed her the box. She untied the ribbon slowly, savoring the attention. When she opened the envelope and pulled out the papers, her smile froze. She looked at the pages, then at me, back at the pages. The room went quiet. "What is this?" she asked, her voice thin. "A reminder of what you took without asking." My dad stood up. "Hey, let's talk about this privately." "No," Karen snapped, eyes still on the papers. "This is inappropriate." I tilted my head. "So was accessing my bank account." Her face flushed. "I thought you loved me." I met her gaze. "You crossed the line with my money." No one spoke. You could hear the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Karen slowly folded the papers and slid them back into the box, hands trembling. She forced a smile for the room. "I think I need some air." She walked out. My dad looked at me like I'd slapped him. "You embarrassed her." I picked up my purse. "She robbed me." I walked out before he could respond. That wasn't the end. That was the beginning, because the gift wasn't just what was inside the box. It was what came next. I sat in my car for a long time after I left, hands on the steering wheel, engine off, listening to my own breathing like it belonged to someone else. My phone buzzed once. Then again, I didn't look. I already knew who it was. I drove anyway. By the time I got back to my apartment, my phone had 14 missed calls and a wall of texts. I kicked off my shoes, dropped my keys on the counter, and finally sat down on the couch. Only then did I open the messages. Karen first. "How dare you? You humiliated me in my own home. After everything I've done for you, we are family. Families don't do this to each other." Then my dad. "Call me now. You went too far. She was just trying to help manage things. We'll talk when you calm down." I stared at the screen until it grew dark. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't even feel angry. I felt strangely alert, like my body was waiting for something else to happen. And it did. Monday morning, I was at work when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Is this Emily?" a woman asked. "Yes." "This is Sharon. I'm Karen's sister." I almost laughed. "Of course." "I thought you should know," she continued, voice tight. "Karen is devastated. She hasn't eaten since yesterday. She feels betrayed." I leaned back in my chair. "I took money from my account." She scoffed. "You're really going to do this?" "I already did," I replied, and hung up. That evening, my dad came to my apartment unannounced. I watched him through the peephole for a full 10 seconds before opening the door. He looked older than he had a week ago. Tired, angry. "You made her cry," he said the moment he stepped inside. I crossed my arms. "She emptied my savings." "She was overwhelmed. You don't understand what it's like to run a household." "I understand consent," I said quietly. He rubbed his face. "Just give her time." I nodded. "She has until Friday." His eyes widened. "For what?" "For my money to be back." He left without another word. Tuesday passed, then Wednesday. Nothing. On Thursday night, I got a notification. $500 deposited. No message, no apology. I laughed out loud, the sound sharp in my empty apartment. Friday morning, I filed a formal complaint with my bank and requested documentation. I also scheduled a meeting with a lawyer, not because I wanted to sue, but because I wanted leverage. That afternoon, Karen texted me. "I hope you're happy. Your father is under so much stress. I never thought you'd be so cold." I typed back slowly. I want the rest by Sunday. She didn't reply. Saturday night, I got a call from my dad again. This time, his voice was low. She can't return it all at once. Then she shouldn't have taken it all at once. She's selling some things. I raised my eyebrow, even though he couldn't see me. Selling what? Another pause, longer this time. Jewelry, he said. The image hit me immediately. The necklace he gave her on Mother's Day, the one she'd sold and then bought back, apparently, just to hand it to me. Sunday evening, another deposit came in. $3,100. Still short. I waited. Monday morning, I got the final transfer. No note, no explanation. I stared at my restored balance for a long time, feeling something settle inside. Not relief, not... I didn't sleep much after that night. My brain just kept replaying her voice, the way she'd said it so casually. I figured it wouldn't matter. Like my money was a loose dollar bill she'd found on the sidewalk. Morning light crept through the blinds, and I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling this weird mix of anger and grief. Not just anger at her, but grief for the version of our relationship I'd convinced myself we had. I finally got up, made coffee, didn't drink it, just held the mug and watched the steam fade. My phone buzzed. A text from her. Good morning, sweetheart. Don't forget Mother's Day is coming up. No pressure. Just excited to see you. I laughed. Not out loud. More like a sharp breath through my nose. Sweetheart. The word felt fake now, like a costume she put on when it suited her. I didn't respond. At work, I was useless. I stared at spreadsheets, typed emails I deleted, zoned out during meetings. My coworker Jenna leaned over at one point and whispered, You okay? You look like you're about to fight someone in the parking lot. I almost told her everything. Instead, I said, family stuff, and she nodded like she understood exactly what that meant. Because people always do. That evening, I finally called my dad. I hadn't planned to. My thumb just hovered over his name, and then suddenly it was ringing. He answered on the third ring. Hey, kiddo. My chest tightened. Did you know? I asked, skipping hello. A pause. Just half a second too long. Know what? She took money from my account. The one you helped me set up after Mom died. Another pause. Longer this time. I could hear the TV in the background, some game show audience clapping. She mentioned borrowing something, he said carefully. Said you were fine with it. I closed my eyes. I wasn't. He sighed. You know how she is. She panics when things feel unstable. So I'm the emergency fund now? My voice cracked, and I hated that it did. Dad, that money was for me, for my future. I'll talk to her, he said. Let's not make this bigger than it needs to be. But it was already big. It had been big the moment she decided my consent wasn't necessary. After we hung up, I sat on my couch in the dark. No TV, no music, just me and that familiar feeling of being expected to swallow things for the sake of peace. Mother's Day was a week away. And that's when the idea formed. Not all at once, but slowly, like a bruise surfacing. At first, it felt petty. Then it felt fair. Then it felt necessary. If she wanted to play family, if she wanted the title, then she was going to get a gift that matched exactly who she'd shown me she was. The next day, I requested a detailed statement from the bank. Every transaction. Dates, amounts, notes. I printed it out at work and folded it neatly into my bag. It felt heavy, like paper shouldn't weigh that much. Over the next few days, she texted me memes, sent heart emojis, asked if I was coming over Sunday. Each message tightened something in my chest. Yes, I finally replied. I'll be there. I went shopping on Saturday. Not for flowers, not for candles or scarves or anything soft and forgiving. I went to a stationery store and bought the most elegant card I could find. Thick paper, gold trim, the kind of card that looks expensive. At home, I laid everything out on my dining table. The card, the printed bank statement, a pen. I stared at the blank card for a long time before I wrote anything. My hand was steady, which surprised me. I wrote her name. I wrote Happy Mother's Day. I wrote how grateful I was for everything she'd taught me about trust and boundaries. Then I folded the bank statement and slid it inside. Sunday afternoon, I drove to their house with the card sitting on the passenger seat like it could talk. My heart pounded the entire way. I kept thinking, you can still stop. You can still just smile and pretend. But pretending is what got me here. She opened the door, wearing a pastel dress, already teary-eyed. There she is, she said, pulling me into a hug that smelled like her perfume. I was so worried you weren't coming. I wouldn't miss it, I said, and that was true, for once. We sat at the table. My dad poured drinks. She kept glancing at the card in my hands. You didn't have to get me anything, she said, reaching for it. I know, I said, and handed it to her. She opened it slowly, savoring the moment, smiled as she read the first line. Then her smile froze. She pulled out the folded paper, unfolded it. Her face drained of color. What is this? She asked, her voice suddenly thin. That's what I wanted to ask you, I said, keeping my tone calm. What is that? My dad leaned over, squinting. Is that? My account statement, I said, with your withdrawals highlighted. The room went silent. No TV, no birds outside, just her breathing, fast and shallow. I told you, she said, looking at my dad. I told you, she said it was fine. I didn't. And you know I didn't. She looked at me then. Really looked at me. Not like a daughter, like a problem. You're really doing this today? She said. On Mother's Day? I met her eyes. You did it first, just on a random Tuesday. My dad stood up. Okay, let's all calm down. But I wasn't angry anymore. That was the strangest part. I felt clear, like something had finally clicked into place. I don't want an apology. I want my money back. And I want it to be the last time you treat me like a resource instead of a person. She laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. After everything I've done for you? That's the thing. You only did things when it benefited you. Her mouth opened, then closed. I stood up, smoothed my jacket. Happy Mother's Day, I said, and meant it in the only way that felt honest. As I walked to the door, my dad called my name. I paused, hand on the knob. This isn't over, he said. I looked back. No, I said. It's just finally started. And I stepped outside, heart racing, not knowing what the fallout would be, but knowing for the first time in a long while that I hadn't betrayed myself to keep someone else comfortable.
I remember standing there with the gift bag still hanging from my fingers, the tissue paper wrinkled like it had already been through a fight. The house smelled like overcooked ham and floral candles, her candles, those ones she always said were soothing, even though they made my head throb. She was staring at me like I'd just insulted her in a language she didn't understand. You didn't have to embarrass me like that, she said quietly, but her jaw was tight, her smile frozen in that polite, dangerous way she perfected over the years. I swallowed. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I didn't embarrass you, I said. I gave you exactly what you asked for. Her eyes flicked to the envelope I'd tucked inside the gift box, the one thing she hadn't expected. Not jewelry, not perfume. Paper. Proof. Behind her, my dad shifted uncomfortably, pretending to be very interested in the window. He always did that when things got real, when I stopped being the obedient girl who kept quiet and started becoming a problem. You went through my things, she said. You went through my bank account, I replied, my voice shaking now, but I didn't stop.
You moved money that wasn't yours. You told yourself you'd put it back. You always do. The room felt smaller, heavy, like the walls were listening. She laughed, short and sharp. You're being dramatic. I was helping manage things. You're not exactly responsible. That word hit me harder than anything else. Not responsible? Like she hadn't watched me work 2 jobs through college? Like she hadn't asked me for temporary help when her credit cards were maxed out? Like she hadn't smiled while doing it? I'm responsible enough to know when someone crosses a line, I said. My dad finally spoke. Maybe we should talk about this later. Later. Always later. Later never came. I picked up my purse, my hands steadier now than I expected. That envelope, I said, nodding toward the gift. It's a copy. The original is with my lawyer. Silence. Thick. Suffocating. For the first time, I saw something flicker across her face. Not anger, not superiority. Fear. You wouldn't, she said softly. I met her eyes. I already did. I walked out before either of them could stop me. The front door closed behind me with a sound that felt final, even though I knew nothing ever really ended that cleanly. In my car, I sat there for a long time, hands on the steering wheel, breathing like I'd just run miles. My phone buzzed once, then again. Her name lit up the screen. I didn't answer. As I pulled out of the driveway, I glanced at the house in the rearview mirror, the place where I'd spent years shrinking myself, smoothing things over, convincing myself it was easier to stay quiet than to be seen as difficult. My phone buzzed again. This time, a message. We need to talk. You've gone too far. I didn't reply. Not yet. Because for the first time, I wasn't sure if this was the end of something or the beginning of a much bigger fight.